The purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. It is no substitute for professional care by your doctor or your qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard or delay professional medical advice because of something you've heard on this podcast or in any linked material. Guests who speak on this podcast express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions. Dr. Shirley neither endorses nor opposes any particular opinion discussed on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, practice, institution, or other entity with which Dr. Shirley may be affiliated.
Welcome to Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty. This podcast is curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD, as the definitive source of holistic wellness through beauty.
Hi, it's Dr. Shirley. Welcome to 15 Minutes of FAB, a segment of the Forever FAB podcast where I review products and services in 15 minutes or less. If you don't have time to tune into my full-length podcast, then please check out 15 Minutes of FAB. Some have considered it truth in beauty, plastic surgery secrets, or as an academic or kind of nerdy take on beauty. Consider it what you may. But my aim is to engage you as a credible and authoritative voice in most, if not all, aspects of beauty and wellness, including beauty products, wellness services, technologies, and innovations in plastic surgery. As the founder of Holistic Plastic Surgery, my approach to beauty is through a lens of wellness. The approach is grounded in science. It's backed by medical study and research. And it uses principles and techniques of plastic surgery. I feel uniquely qualified to talk with you about beauty, wellness, aesthetics, surgery, and products and services, not only because of my extensive training, but also because I'm with you. Many of the issues of aging and being a fierce FAB woman, I experience as well, so you are not alone. And these reviews are not only for you, they're for me also. So it's easier to share. As part of my philosophy of holistic plastic surgery, where I believe that beauty emanates from within, I created a sort of little mini series within the 15 Minutes of FAB segment where I'll review oral supplements. So today we're going to talk about hair growth. And I'm very excited about this topic. The product review for today is Nutrafol, and it's an oral supplement to help stimulate hair growth. The brand mantra is, and I quote, hair wellness from within, end quote. Catchy, right? Catchy. What are the brand's benefits? There are a number of them. One is that the brand is doctor recommended. It is sold in over 350 hair salons. It has over 50,000 plus and counting users. The product was first tried on the co-founders. I believe there are 3 co-founders, 2 men and 1 woman. And it also has an advisory board with physicians and researchers. So there's a lot of credibility and gravitas there. This product in particular, Nutrafol for women, is what I tried. The benefits are that, quote, it improves hair growth with visibly more thickness and strength. It targets root causes of thinning hair like stress, environment, and nutrition with medical grade natural ingredients that support your whole body and support your whole body's health, end quote. What's the story? Who is this company? Who are the founders? What are they all about? There are 3 co-founders, as I mentioned. And on their website, they mentioned that, quote, we went through the same experience as millions of others. Our hair was thinning, and it was stressful and scary. We tried conventional treatments, but we wanted a natural way to take control of our hair growth. So we made one. The first Nutrafol hair stories are our own, end quote. I like that, so I kept going. This product is best for women and men experiencing hair thinning and hair loss. The active and primary ingredients are also relatively few and as categories, less than 10 major categories, we'll call them. The first is vitamin A, the second, vitamin C, the third, vitamin D, the fourth, biotin, the fifth, iodine, the sixth, zinc, seven is selenium, and these are very common ingredients found in a lot of hair growth supplements. The eighth ingredient, so to speak, is called synergen complex. So that's actually a combination of many different ingredients, and it's a proprietary blend of multiple ingredients, including ashwagandha, saw palmetto, curcumin, tocotrienol complex, and hyaluronic acid. And the ninth category, if you will, of ingredients is also a proprietary blend, including several amino acids, keratin, horsetail, Japanese knotwood, black pepper, capsicum, and resveratrol. So in essence, 9 major ingredients, with 2 of those 9 being proprietary blends or proprietary complexes of multiple ingredients. So essentially 9, but if I counted all the ingredients, then it would probably be something like 29. But anyway, how do you use this supplement? You take 4 capsules a day. Yes, 4 capsules a day. Now, before I move on to the FAB score and my experience with this supplement, let's have a little bit of a mini nerd out session. I like to do that. I started incorporating these sort of more academic primers, if you will, because I think that they're just a nice way to help round out the review. And again, I like academia, so I like substance. I like the meat of the situation. So I thought I'd add some academics for you. So let's talk about hair thinning and hair growth. First and foremost, what is the anatomy of hair? Like, what is it really? The hair shaft is what is visible. That's what you see. That's what you run your fingers through. That hair shaft is actually associated with both a muscle and what we call a sebaceous gland, which essentially, expresses or puts out wax and sebum. They're attached, these things, the muscle and the gland are attached to each hair. The hair follicle is maybe what you've heard a lot about, your hair follicles, but the hair follicle is deep within that hair shaft and goes deep to the skin of the scalp to connect to a network of small blood vessels. These blood vessels provide oxygen and nutrients to the hair follicle. Generally speaking, hair follicles go through 3 phases in their life cycles. These phases include one called anagen. And the anagen phase is where hair grows, and it generally lasts between 2 and 6 years. And the hair grows an average of about a centimeter, right? About a centimeter. And that's less than an inch. The next phase is called a catagen phase. And that's more like a transitional phase. And it lasts between 2 and 3 weeks. And this is where the follicle renews itself. So it kind of gets cut off from the nourishment that's provided from that network of blood vessels that I talked about. And it attempts to regrow. Then the next phase is the telogen phase. And this is where the hair follicle goes dormant. So it takes a nap. And this nap, or this period of rest after it was doing all that work in catagen to try to grow, and it's like struggling because it sort of cut itself off from the blood supply. It's like, I'm trying to do my thing. But anyway, the next phase, the telogen phase, that can last, up to 4 months. And for most people, 10-ish to 15% of their hair, all of their hair, is in this one phase, telogen. When too many follicles transition into this phase, into the telogen phase, it can lead to hair loss. So there's a fine balance. And after this telogen phase, then the hair follicle cycle goes back to that first phase that I talked about, which is anagen. And that's when the hair grows an average of about 1 centimeter per month. And that's that phase that takes anywhere from 2 and 6 years. So there's a fine balance and a dance and almost a choreography of the hair. And all of this is just finely tuned and intricately balanced and coordinated and triggered by those chemicals, transmitters, DNA, genetics, so much, and definitely can be affected also by so much, which leads me to talk about hair loss. I personally believe it's a multifactorial process. It can be the result of a combination of factors. And this combination of factors, whether it's one or a number of them, can lead to shedding. I happen to think it can be more than one thing simultaneously or consecutively. So the things that may lead to hair loss or hair thinning or hair shedding include, but are not limited to, stress. And I say that because I believe that is number one. You may remember that I am of Haitian descent. And when the earthquake happened in Haiti, I lost a very young cousin. She just happened to have left Miami. She was in love. She left Miami. She went to meet her man, who was going to be her fiance. And she left Miami, went to Haiti, found a job at a supermarket as the manager or the director of the supermarket. And she was just following her heart. And unfortunately, when the earthquake happened, she was working at that supermarket and she succumbed to the natural disaster. So after I heard that, of course, I was devastated. And I was just going through a lot, right? Grieving, etc. I didn't really pay attention to myself, but I knew in general what I'd look like. And it wasn't until a few weeks later that I happened to catch my profile in a mirror. And I recognized that I had pretty much lost a lot of hair, like the entire side of my scalp was thinning. And presumably, assuredly, it was from the stress and grieving after that earthquake. So I mentioned stress as number one of the factors that may lead to hair thinning, shedding, and loss. Another factor is weight loss, because as you lose weight, it's a way that you also lose nutrients and protein. And protein is very important for the hair. So weight loss can actually lead to hair thinning, hair shedding, and hair loss. Pregnancy and childbirth, due to all the hormonal changes. Excessive use of hot tools and styling. Excessive use of other chemical treatments. Excessive hairstyling techniques that actually put extreme stress and pulling on the hair. And that's something that we in the medical world called traction alopecia. Genetics also can be a cause. Epigenetics, your lifestyle, can also be a cause. Poor scalp health, poor scalp hygiene. Female or male pattern baldness, which are both particular kinds of hair thinning. Menopause and andropause, the hormonal changes in women and men. Vitamin deficiencies, poor diet, poor nutrition, medications, and psychological or mental disturbances. This is just a short list of what can lead to hair loss. The spectrum for hair loss can be wide and varied, and so are the management or treatment options. So not to sound all like Debbie Downer or just sad or hopeless. After I list the types of hair loss, then I'll let you know about some possible treatments. So the types of hair loss can include, but also not limited to, male pattern baldness or female pattern baldness. And that's usually associated with a receding hairline starting from the front and sort of working its way back. Alopecia areata, and that's an autoimmune condition. Translation, a condition that we don't really know the cause for. And that can sort of create patches of hair loss and just areas of the scalp that just don't grow. They just don't grow. And it can affect the area on your head as well as areas on your body. Another type of hair loss is called telogen effluvium, and that occurs when the hair follicles on the scalp sort of enter into the final stage of hair growth, but they don't proceed to the next phase, which is the growth phase. And as a result, the thinning may be noticed in different parts of the head. Another type of hair loss is anagen effluvium. And this type of hair loss actually is mostly associated with medical treatments like chemotherapy. But typically that hair loss only occurs during those treatments, and thankfully the hair grows back when the treatment ends. Scarring alopecia is rare, and it's a hair loss that occurs due to inflammatory skin conditions and disorders that destroy the hair follicles. And the reason why you can get hair loss with inflammatory skin conditions because the scalp is essentially skin. It's just very specialized and has these specialized appendages in it called hair. But the follicles can be replaced with scar tissue in this kind of alopecia. And the scar tissue obviously stops the hair from growing back. Now, options for management and treatment of hair thinning and hair loss. There's hope. They include, but are not limited to, laser, hair transplants, scalp reduction surgery, PRP or platelet-rich plasma, and microneedling. Let's see. There are some prescription medications such as finasteride. There are also other medications, including minoxidil. There are over-the-counter medications. There are topical serums and creams. There are specialty oils, and there are oral supplements. Which brings me back full circle to Nutrafol. Do you like how I did that? I hope so. So, Nutrafol. What is the FAB score for Nutrafol? Before I get to that, may I remind you of what the FAB score is? It's a number score from 1 to 5 that I use to rate products and services, with 1 being, leave it, just, I'm not into it, just don't do it. And number 5 being something that, of course, I think is fabulous and I think you should try. I'd recommend it. This score is based on my personal experience with the product or service and my professional background as a plastic surgeon and holistic wellness expert. If you'd like to see my credentials, please go to my website and check it out. To come up with this FAB score, I assess and take into account a number of factors, including ingredients, the formulation, how clean the formulation is, aesthetics of packaging, the ease of use, the sensation, how does it feel, how does it taste, how does it smell, does it work, is it effective, sustainability, if there is any, social good, if there is any, price, and many other factors. So I've created this sort of kind of sophisticated algorithm actually to come up with a simple score that you can rely on when evaluating beauty and wellness products and services. I would love one day for L'Oreal to say, well, our product X just received a FAB score of 4.55 from Dr. Shirley on her Forever Fab podcast. Right? That would be amazing. Soon come. Back to Nutrafol. The FAB score that I assigned to the Nutrafol hair wellness from within products for women is 4.0. That's pretty good. And the reason why I got a high score of 4.0 are many. It's a relatively clean formulation. You can see the results in 3 to 6 months, and those 3 to 6 months results are documented clinically with photographs. It is 100% drug-free. There are women on the advisory board. I like that. I really do. The results are backed by clinical studies, and the clinical studies that were performed were considered the gold standard of clinical testing, and that is a 6-month randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study. It's a mouthful, but that's what researchers, scientists, and doctors, it's like the holy grail of studies, right? And that's the kind of study where, okay, it's 6 months. Some people may say that's not long enough, especially when you don't get results for 3 to 6 months. But I presume when they did see the results, they're like, oh yeah, let's get this. So 6 month, randomized, double blind. So both sides, all sides didn't know who was getting what, and placebo controlled, meaning one group got actual Nutrafol and another group got a sugar pill. Maybe it was a water pill. Or maybe it was just a nothing pill. But they did not get the Nutrafol. And nobody knew who got what. So this kind of study, it's a medical study. It involves human participants in which, as I mentioned, neither side knows who's getting what treatment. Placebo is given to a control group, meaning the nothing pill. And that information about not knowing who gets what is also withheld from the evaluators. So everybody's going in like, what is going to happen? So Nutrafol's study revealed a 73% plus positive results. That's pretty good. Another plus that I liked is that the website has some pretty impressive before and after photos. And another plus is that the company offers an opportunity to work with naturopathic doctors, NDs, naturopathic doctors, to provide a more, well-balanced program, individualized program for hair regrowth, and provides more tailored advice regarding stress management, hormonal health, environmental exposure, dietary choices, and sort of healthy habit formation. And they do this through a 20-minute phone call. So I thought that was pretty special, because most companies don't do that. Most supplement companies don't do that. Most beauty product companies don't do that. So I thought that was special because it helps to marry, right, the science with the beauty. Here you are, an oral supplement for hair growth, but you have an opportunity to take 20 minutes to speak with a naturopathic physician, an ND, to talk to you about how you can make some holistic changes to help improve your outcomes. So I thought that was a good investment. Another plus is that there's an opportunity for hair mineral analysis. So basically, they'll perform a test. They'll have you take a strand of your hair, send it in, etc. And they will look for 27 essential minerals and metals in your hair, as well as important nutrient ratios to help basically shed some light on how your body responds to stress, the environment, hormones, metabolism, and nutrition. So I thought that was also pretty special. And for those people who like that kind of commitment, there's a subscription service available. So after all these pluses, why did I only, depending on your perspective, glass half full, glass half empty, why did I only give it a score of 4.0? Well, here are the negatives for me, or the not so positives. One is that it's expensive. It's about $79 or $89, $79 or $80, I believe, dollars per month. And the jar contains a 1-month supply. So that's a commitment. For me, 4 capsules a day was way too much. And the pills are big. I'm not a huge pill taker. I do take supplements. I don't love it. So my compliance isn't great. I probably wind up taking them 3 times a week. That's when I'm being good. Full disclosure. So for me, the large capsules and the 4 capsules a day thing, even if you split it, 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening, it was just too much for me. So that led to my non-compliance, which is probably why I didn't see significant results. You get what you pay for, and you reap what you sow, whatever. The other couple of issues I had, which may not be important to you, but they're important to me as a physician and a collaborator and a healthcare professional who makes recommendations to people. There were no people of color on their advisory team. I was disappointed. And not only that, there were no people of color in their naturopathic physician networks. I know we exist. I know we are qualified. And I know we can contribute positively, not just to the experience at their offices and with their consumers, but to the bottom line. So I was very disappointed that there were no people of color on their advisory board or in their naturopathic physician network. So if you're listening, Nutrafol, work on that. Or call me, email me, DM me, whatever. Follow me, subscribe to the feed. So that's it, Nutrafol 4.0. This concludes the 15 Minutes of FAB product review of Nutrafol for women. If you like this episode of 15 Minutes of FAB on the Forever Fab podcast, please share it and subscribe to the feed. As always, I thank you for listening to this week's Forever Fab podcast episode of 15 Minutes of FAB. Until next time, stay beautiful inside and out. And I mean that.